My Talk About It Tuesday videos are always to present mindsets that maybe are different than yours. If you think the way that I do, then they're probably encouraging that you're not alone. But some of you are here because I present some mindsets that you've never thought of before. Today we're going to talk about that. It's about being the scrounger. For me, it goes back to when I was about that big. Stick around. I'm Mike, and you're watching My Car Shop. My day job, I spend a ton of time on the road, and I get to see all kinds of stuff. And a lot of times on the road I'm on the phone, but once in a while I get to just kind of gawk around and see what's out there on side of the road and behind people's garages and stuff. And I was on my way this morning to head out for this service call that I'm doing about 45 miles away, and I saw a bicycle in the trash pile, and my immediate thought was, ooh, you should stop and pick that up. Well, that started the old synapses firing in my head, made me think. I admit it, I'm not very good at it because it hurts. But it made me think back to when I was just a wee lad, and I've always been someone who is obsessed with mechanical stuff. I've always had my good stuff and then my toys, my stuff I was working on, whether it was bicycles or lawnmowers or whatever it's been, from the time I was probably 6 or 8 years old. I've always had multiple vehicles or multiple motorized things that I was working on. And so, for example, as a kid, I always had my good bike that my mom and dad bought me, but it didn't take me long before I was scrounging through the trash and finding bad bikes or buying bikes from friends. It's just like the cars. I always have had multiples, and a lot of them came from the trash because I think I'm just inherently a scrounger. Funny part of that is, in my 60th year of life, why would I even remotely think about stopping to pick up a little girl's bicycle out of the trash? Well, because honestly, like everything else I'm saying is dishonest, I guess, honestly, I believe that I can see the possibilities in everything, because I was thinking through, well, I don't really need a bicycle. I've got a pile of them, but that has the little wheels, and man, those could be good wheels for my welding cart. Oh yeah, that had that little BMX type gooseneck that I broke, that I was using for torsion bar remover, so I could take that and use it. You see what I mean? I'm always seeing the possibilities and stuff. And so even though I don't do bicycles, and I haven't for decades, seeing a bicycle is an automatic, ooh, I should pick that up. And before I'd even thought about stopping, I've already got 6 possible uses for it. Because I recently had a friend up in my warehouse who had never been there before, and I don't let anybody just up in the warehouse. And as we were wandering around looking for whatever it was we were looking for, he says, holy, you've got a lot of stuff here. Yeah, nearly 60 years of scrounging does accumulate a lot. And it's finally good to have one place where I can have most of it, not quite all of it yet. I'll get there, Rebecca, I promise. Have most of it under one roof. Yes, Rebecca is my best friend's widow, very dear friend of mine, and she still has some stuff stored in her barn that her husband had stored for me there, and I need to go get that home. Point is, I got stuff squirreled everywhere, and I always have. Even if I didn't have a place to put it myself, I had very gracious friends that would allow me to squirrel stuff away in their place. About this before, but even when I had a 3/4 car garage on my house and a 3/4 car garage size yard shed, I had built shelves and had built lofts and all kinds of stuff to squirrel stuff away for the projects that I was working on, or the projects I wanted to do, as well as having my gracious friends allow me to squirrel stuff away at their places as well. I've been very fortunate that friends have space that they didn't need, and they said, sure, go ahead, no problem, put it there. As a therapist, I'm always very cautious about mindsets because I don't want to fall into a poverty mindset. I definitely want to live from a place of abundance and an abundance mindset. I don't want to fall into the mindset of scarcity. But as a scrounger, I see abundance everywhere. And I'm not talking about twerking. Abundance. There's so many predominant mindsets in the hobby, and I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. Is it that people have been kind of conditioned to believe that they have to purchase everything and that there's not much stuff out there anymore, and therefore that has conditioned them to view the world that way? Or is it their experience where they just haven't found those pockets? Or look at it over there. I mean, if a guy's into Jeeps, there's 3 of them sitting behind that barn in the tall weeds you can barely see. And there's another one right there. There's 4 Jeeps right there if a guy's into Jeeps. See what I'm saying? XJs. And I don't know if it's their experience or which came first, the chicken or the egg, but the point is the way we view the world is the way we see the world. The way we think is the way we see the world. And I really struggle, and I know where I live. It's maybe not always true. I know that I live in a fairly impoverished area, but I see a wealth of stuff all around me. I mean, I can tell you where there's at least 6 woods full of old cars. Easily more than that. There's junkyards that have all kinds of, well, there's none of that stuff around where I live. I challenge whether that's true or not. I really do. Because is it that it's not there? Or is it that you just haven't discovered it yet? Because you don't believe it's there, you don't even bother to look. You haven't honed yourself and you haven't trained yourself into that scrounger mentality to be aware of everything that's around you. As my buddy Chris always says, there's a lot of things laying there if you just bend your stiff neck and look down by your feet. This is a key thing, and if you learn anything from me, I would want you to learn this. Most of my approach to the old cars has nothing to do with my bank account balance. Yes, it's true that maybe in my current circumstances, I can't really afford to do much of anything on the cars. That doesn't stop me. But here's the key. Even if I had a huge bank balance, I wouldn't be willing to spend it. And that's key. I think it's more important to decide what you're willing to spend than to let your budget be your slave master and say, well, my budget won't allow me to do that because I don't have that kind of money. Well, you're limited thinking, you're not thinking possibilities. Are you in it to win it? I suppose it's some of the influences as a kid. For some reason, I used to like to watch Dr. Bob Schuller, who was the power of possibility thinking. Well, again, I've grown a lot since then, and I recognize there's toxic positivity, and that's not healthy. So, it has to be balanced. But I still think seeing the possibilities are important. Seeing a bicycle on the side of the road and immediately seeing 5 possibilities of what can be done with it. Ooh, what's that? There's a gas grill over there. Ooh, I need a new regulator for my gas grill. Why would I go to the store and spend $30 on a regulator when there's one right there in the trash that's probably good? People throw out gas grills all the time and there's really nothing wrong with them. Ooh, that gas grill's made of stainless steel. There's some wonderful stainless steel for some car shop projects. You see where I'm going with this? So yes, it goes way back. I mean, I can remember as a kid going to thrift stores and hauling home, I'm sure my parents were thrilled, hauling home record players and hair dryers and stuff from the 50s and working on it because it didn't work and replacing the power cord or taking it apart and lubricating it up so it would work. And in my grandfather's house, my aunt, she's probably watching this, still has a record player that I repaired that I gave to my grandfather because he wanted it. It's white, it's about this big, and it folds out. I gave that to him in the 1970s. I was a kid, and I was fixing stuff like that way back then. When asking your question about a project car, when asking yourself the questions about a project car, I'd like you to do this self-test. When you need something for your car, is the first thing you do go to the parts catalog to see what it's going to cost? Or do you start thinking about what's available? And I'm not referring to the parts store or the parts catalog. What's available for this? What's out there? Where are some other ones of these? Or what could I use that would work for this? That's possibility thinking right there. When asking yourself what's available, think about where your mind immediately goes. Do you start rifling through the stashes in the woods? Do you start rifling through all your friends who you know have stashes of parts who may have what you need? Or do you start going to the parts catalog? Learn to be a scrounger. There's tons of stuff out there for pennies on the dollar. There's tons of stuff out there. I was just pondering this the other day when I was thinking about some car stuff and realizing just around me how much of this old stuff is still out there if you're just paying attention. We've talked about all of the connections and ways of doing things on the channel before, but I wanted to talk about being a scrounger in today's Talk About It Tuesday. All right, that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate you being here. Like, share, and subscribe. You know the routine. We have channel memberships for as little as $5 a month. You get access to all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff. And one more thing, because it's important, and I don't want you to forget. Rock!